On a related note, I wanted to ask also about Steven Narioff, a technologist and lawyer who helped Ethereum with its crowd sale. He was charged with extortion of a company that was trying to hold an ICO in late 2017. And between this and Virgil, I wonder, do you feel Ethereum in general needs to do a better job of vetting the people who become involved with the foundation or other core members of the project?
Steven is definitely a separate case. Like Ethereum before about 2015, like there's definitely, this founding team, and the founding team had like a lot of characters that today I definitely don't approve of, and at the time I had no idea how to even like tell apart good people from bad people, and pretty much everyone seemed reasonable to me, and so like at the time I definitely didn't have the ability to kind of detect the problems in someone like Steven Narioff. And I think since then, the Ethereum Foundation has gotten much better. Since then, like a lot of the kind of characters that caused us a lot of damage at the beginning, we've successfully distanced ourselves from. And I think kind of more recently, we have a team that, in general, we're very happy with. And I'm definitely not willing to allow kind of Virgil to be put into the bad character bucket just because he was more geopolitically open-minded than a lot of other people. Like I'm very happy to kind of burn reputation points defending him to some extent there. He's like, no, that's definitely not the same thing as like what Steven did, which involved like huge amounts of like fraud and behaving in, I think, definitely very ways that made women around him very uncomfortable at the very least, and all of those things. Like doing that, that's a shady character, man. And like I'm definitely happy I'm better at that. I think the Ethereum Foundation's better at detecting him than it was at detecting a lot of other people. But Virgil's still a friend, and I'm looking forward to him no longer being in house confinement soon.
And one of the threats that had been hanging over Ethereum for a few years was whether or not Ether would be considered a security, or whether or not the SEC would go after Ethereum for its crowd sale. It eventually became apparent neither of those things would happen, but were you ever nervous for Vitalik?
I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I remember that time, and on your interview, you were talking about some of the space, like the guy Steven Narioff, right? And I remember there was a conference in Toronto, I think it was maybe 3 years ago. We got together with Alex, and then I just happened to be present at that conversation. Steven was really trying to basically explain to Vitalik that, Vitalik, this is very dangerous, you're going to go to jail, and I'm the only person who can save you because I have all this awesome connection, all kinds of people and law enforcement and, Senate and whatnot. And after we talked to him, and then, I'm talking to Vitalik, and I'm asking, how do you feel? And he said, well, but also like when there's so much pressure being applied to me, then I kind of start to question, is this really real? And I said, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about this too. And how to put this, met Vitalik multiple times, right? And him, end of the day, that he has his heart in the right place, as they say, right? So I'm pretty sure that, and again, law enforcement and those branches for our government, they don't have to be reasonable. But I kind of have to believe that when people talk to Vitalik and they see this is his intent, right? It was never his mind to trying to make money or whatever, invite investors to this, right? And if you think back into this whole ICO craze, right? He was constantly warning people that this is likely to blow up, right? So it was a bit of concern, but it was not a huge concern.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Steven Narioff just then, because I do think in general, and Vitalik has talked about this, that one of his biggest challenges, if not the biggest challenge, I actually think he said this in that interview I published on Tuesday, that his biggest challenge in steering Ethereum to where it is today was the social aspect, like people-related issues. And was that something that you were aware of during, while he was trying to help grow this network? And did you try to help him at all with that?
Yeah.
Or